Schwoke Lords, welcome to another fantastic episode of Cancel Schweezy, the best episode of Cancel Schweezy that I will ever make. I am
Schweezy,
as most of you know, but you may know me as the Foreplay King. That's my more common name, as most people recognize the crown and the monarchy that is the Foreplay King. Welcome to the best episode of Cancel Schweezy, and also the post-Christmas episode. This is the last week you're going to have to see me in my Grinch Christmas sweater. Maybe next year I will get some more Christmas sweaters. I probably should for the show, because you know what? I am a little extra, and being extra is never a problem when money is involved. I don't know. Okay, that made no sense. But anyways, I do want to start off the show saying I am aware, I'm recording this on Christmas Day, by the way. Just so you know, I'm not sure some developments could happen by Monday by the time this episode releases, but I am aware of the explosion that did happen downtown Nashville. I live close to downtown, like a 10-minute drive, but, so yeah, it's not too far away, but yeah, I'm fine. Hopefully they kind of figure out what the hell is going on with that. Pretty sure the FBI will figure that shit out pretty quickly. Anyways, yep, I am aware. I am fine. Hopefully, I heard they saw someone's human remains. But hopefully we kind of get towards that a little bit more. But yeah, I'm remember thoughts and prayers, or, send good vibes to the city. We've had a rough year. First the tornado, then COVID. Now ending it this way, but hopefully things change from there. But Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter, and Happy New Year to you in jail. We're going to be getting into that on later in the episode, but thank you so much for listening to this episode. So since you're on the episode, may go ahead and like and subscribe wherever you're getting your podcasts from. If you're on YouTube, like and leave a comment, talk about what I messed up, the shit I say, shit I do, yada yada yada. Great way to support the show. Just like and subscribe. Great thing you can do. It's the freest thing you can do. Another free thing you can do is go subscribe and follow me over on Twitch every Monday and Thursday. Schedule to be determined, maybe changing soon. I will be streaming video games over on Twitch. It's really fun. I kind of figure it out. I get mad and angry and I talk about cool stuff. It's like this show, but live. So you definitely don't want to come over there. And now for the part that if you do have money, if you already have an Amazon Prime account, you can connect that to your existing Twitch account, combine the two, and instead of pressing the follow, you can press subscribe button. Typically, they're worth $5, but you get one free a month if you already have an Amazon Prime account. And that's a financial way to support the show if you already have an Amazon Prime account. And if you don't, it's basically, they're around $5 of subscription. So, basically, you don't want Jeff Bezos getting another $5 a month. That guy has too much money as it is, and I cannot tolerate that. And so, you know what? When Jeff Bezos doesn't get $5 extra a month,
and I really like that.
I do really like that. So hit the subscribe button. You can support me and everything I do. But if you want to be a top-notch supporter of the Schwegcast, we do have a Patreon page. Our Patreon page is $5 a month. That's the only tier we have. You get ad-free episodes of everything in the Schweezy podcast universe, and supports everything I do over here. And
I really like that.
But nevertheless, if you just want to be free and be just a low-ranking Schwoke Lord, a low ranking is better than not ranking Schwoke Lord. Just like and subscribe everything wherever you get your podcasts, on YouTube and everywhere else. Be a cool guy. I want you to be a cool guy,
And I really like that.
So Garth really likes that. And yeah, let's just and from here, let's just get straight into the news.
What you gonna need to get fucked up?
So typically on this show, I like to start with a very uplifting article. I want to get this show going on a happy note, and I found this one, and this one puts a smile on my face. So let's just get into it. This is from Porno Mags, somewhere. I guess I don't have the. Let me take a look here. I'm gonna have to find it, but Where is it? Where are you? And this is from M Live Grand Rapids is the name of where I found this hard-hitting journalism. But nevertheless, he persisted. Son wins lawsuit after mom throws away his best porno magazines.
And I really like that.
Yeah, there we go. Finally, some justice in this world. This is Ottawa County, Michigan. A Grand Haven couple will have to pay for disposing of their son's pornography collection. The only question is, how much? David Working, 42, sued his parents, Beth and Paul Working, after they tossed out what a judge called a trove of pornography and an array of sex toys. Ooh.
That's rough, buddy.
U.S. District Judge Paul Maloney in Kalamazoo granted the son's request for summary judgment in his favor. The parties have until mid-February to file written submissions on damages. The parents' attorney, Anne Marie Vanderbroek, said she is working to establish the value of the items that were disposed of, but declined to comment about the case. David Working contends damages are around $25,000. His attorney, Miles Greengard, contends that his client should receive treble damages, which is allowed under his claim of conversion of property. We have asked the court for treble damages, which we believe are warranted given the wanton destruction of the property, he said. He was pleased with the judge's ruling. The case wasn't just about a guy and his dirty magazines. This was a collection of often irreplaceable items and property, Greengard said. His client had moved into his parents' home in late 2016 after a divorce, after he left for Muncie, Indiana. Hey, that's where Josh is from. I'm going to say he's from there because he hates it there. He expected them to deliver his belongings. He later realized that a dozen boxes of pornographic films and magazines were missing. His father said in an email, "Frankly, David, I did you a big favor getting rid of all this stuff." The judge earlier rejected the parents' request to dismiss the case. Getting to the heart of the coconut now, the legal issue before the court is whether Paul and Beth converted David's pornography to their own use, Maloney wrote earlier. He found that they did. Holy shit, I didn't even read this article. I'm gonna try to get these flies too. Did I get? Nah, I got it. Okay. But they did. Frankly, David and I did a big favor getting the hard coconut. Now, Maloney wrote early. He found that they did, so they were using his porno stuff, his porn collection. In the latest ruling, he said, as early as 1874, Michigan courts have recognized that conversion to one's own use was broad and could include destruction due to the converter's belief in the destroyed items' deleterious effects. The Michigan Supreme Court confirmed that conclusion in 2015, Maloney wrote. What's going on with me today? In this case, there is no question that the destroyed property was David's property. Defendants repeatedly admitted that they destroyed the property, and they do not dispute that they destroyed the property. Therefore, the court finds that there is no genuine dispute of material fact on David's statutory conversion claim. The parents had called police on August 23, 2017 over an incident and asked that their son leave for at least 3 days. The son repeatedly contacted his parents and tried to retrieve his property from their home. The judge said the parents said they had told their son when he moved in that he could not bring pornography into their home or it would be destroyed. They also contended he had abandoned the property and said he could have mitigated his losses by removing it himself. The judge said the parents would not allow him back and that they said they would ship his property to him. The parents had kept some materials described as the worst of the worst in a safety deposit box, concerned it could be illegal. Ottawa County Sheriff's Department reviewed the materials and found no evidence of child pornography. No charges resulted. Okay, so, I feel like I want to say in regards to this, come on, can I get this fly or not? I want to say in regards to this, this article, I feel like the thing is, like, a lot of parents have to realize that once their kids become adults, and they have to move back in with you and you're like gracious enough to let them move back in, you can't be their parents. You have to like just let them be a roommate for a while they get themselves back up on their feet. What it sounds like is these parents were probably a little toxic. There was an incident, though. I want to know more details on that incident. It just sounds like probably they got into a fight or something like that, but not like a physical altercation, because I think if it was a physical altercation, we could have heard something about that. So I don't think it was physical. I believe, though, when I look into this, it looks like, yeah, the thing is with the parents is, if you had it in storage, I feel like even if you didn't want him to have pornography in your home, you should have just let it be, to be honest. Because, yeah, now you're, like, paying damages. So, like, yeah. And so, sounds like your relationship is never going to get back on track. You really ruined a relationship with your child because you didn't like his porn. And that is kind of just despicable of the parents. The parents need to realize that their son's an adult. He's, like, in his 40s. And it's good for them to let him back in. I feel like they may have felt obligated, but they just kind of wanted to treat him like their son again, and that was not cool. And it's not cool to jewel in school, right? It's not cool to jewel in school. Yeah, boy. All right. Next article I'll get into. Oh, this one's good. Police use a trick from The Simpsons to catch criminals, and it actually worked. And this is from The Independent. An ingenious plan from South Yorkshire police fooled 21 people into being arrested. In 2017, Operation Holly involved police sending cards from a fake company to the addresses of some of the most wanted felons on the promise of receiving a free Christmas hamper. Cards claiming to be from Harold Hampers offered the recipients bottles of champagne, wine, Christmas pudding, and other treats. If they fancied these generous free gifts, all they had to do was arrange a delivery time for the hamper to be dropped off at their home. Except it wasn't a hamper that turned up at their home. It was the police. Amazingly, 21 people fell for this ruse. In 2 days, criminals want the burglary, assault, fraud, drinking, driving, dangerous driving, drug-related offenses, and harassment were all rounded up. Driving bans, prison recalls, curfews, and fines were all dished out, and one individual was also remanded in custody. Temporary Detective Chief Inspector Lee Berry oversaw the operation and praised its effectiveness. In a statement, he said, "It's encouraging that our innovative approach has yielded positive results, and we will continue to explore new avenues for apprehending those wanted, which impacts upon the victims of crime. Sending officers to addresses where wanted people no longer reside is also a drain on valuable police resources. This highly creative technique for catching criminals was since attractive attention on social media, where Sam White pointed out is striking similar to a brief storyline in The Simpsons. In the episode named Lisa the Skeptic, Season 9, Episode 8, a small storyline is featured at the start of the episode where Chief Wiggum and the rest of the Springfield police force fools several hoodlums from the town into entering a police raffle believing they will receive a free motorboat. Homer, who is wanted for unpaid parking tickets, falls for it, but is left furious when he still doesn't get his boat. Go! It's unclear whether The Simpsons actually influenced South Yorkshire police, but if it did, they deserve a big round of applause. So, thoughts on this? I mean, well, there is something to say here, claiming to be from Harold Hampers. That's the part I'm curious about, because isn't there some legal obligation that they're claiming to give out this information, but like not giving it to the contestants? I mean, they're dumb enough to, that's the thing though, like how good was this claim? Hey, you can get a free hamper. And then they like look up the person and like get the address. Wouldn't they still need to be obligated to give that information or give that, those products to them? Because, as it says, like they're not getting that. They were kind of fooled into giving away their information for that. So like the gifts I feel like is the sketchy part. Because if they fell for this ruse, it's like the idea they fell for this ruse idea. It could, I don't know. That sounds like it's a different Yorkshire. That sounds like a UK area place. But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's a little skeptical. But I feel like with the Simpsons episode, it was like a police raffle or something like that. That one probably could. Yeah, that one's probably Homer being stupid. All right. Yeah, that's kind of that. I just thought it was kind of funny. Next one about video games. Xbox Series X and PS5 scalpers are getting scammed by fake customers. And this is from The Gamer. Scalpers attempting to resell PS5s and Series X consoles at astronomical prices are being tricked by customers sick of putting up with the wildly inflated prices. Some scalpers have reportedly driven hours to make a sale, only to be met with disappointment when nobody else shows up. Scalping is always an issue in the world of gaming, especially around the release of new consoles. Things were particularly bad in 2020 as almost all PS5 and Series X sales were done online, a place where bots could quickly buy out inventory before anyone else could get them and make a purchase. Go online right now and you'll see next-gen consoles selling more than $1,000 on eBay, nearly twice its MSRP. Angry PlayStation and Xbox fans are starting to fight back, however, by posing as potential customers. They'll reach out to a local seller, inquire about the price, and set up a place to meet, usually somewhere inconvenient for the scalper. Then, on the day of the meet, the customer won't show up. In fact, there's an entire subreddit dedicated to this practice, and that is r scam the scalpers, and it's filled with hilarious ideas like this one. So this is actually from a Twitter account at False Start Pod. Another podcast. Hey, maybe we should team up sometime. If you spot a hashtag scalper in the wild, don't arrange a meetup and never show up. Arrange a meetup at a local children's hospital and tell your local news crews about the person with such a big heart. And they're donating the hashtag PlayStation 5 or hashtag Xbox Series X to the kids this Christmas. Whether you agree with the practice or not, that's pretty damn hilarious. From sending scalpers to buy tires or arranging two different scalpers to meet at the same place. Reddit is filled with tales of scalpers coming face to face with a hefty dose of karma. PlayStation 5, Series X, and the latest Nvidia graphics card have all been the target of scalpers this year. The online-only sales for most of these products work to their advantage, and according to a new study, they managed to make over $82 million this year. They've been an absolute pain to customers around the globe, but fit right in with the rest of the 2020 landscape. One UK retailer was able to thwart a scalper group's plan earlier this year as it noticed the bulk purchases before it went through and was able to shut down the sale. We're not sure how many of these scam the scalper tales are true, but neither approve or disapprove of the practice. But for anyone still trying to land a next-gen console at a reasonable price, maybe these stories can put a smile on your face. So, yeah, it's one of those things with like Reddit things, like how much is actually true? Because you know what? You can just lie on the internet. So, I mean, every story is can be a little skeptical. One thing I will say to everyone, do not buy a system from one of these scalpers.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
If you did, you actually did play yourself. But best thing I can suggest for you to do, just be a little patient. Like, one, let's think about this for the beginning. Right now, I would say PlayStation 5, Xbox. The only thing with Xbox is with Game Pass, and you can like play some of the backlog, and like that's the best thing you can do. PlayStation 5 has like 1 or 2 games available right now. I would just say just wait until like the production ramps back up and you buy them in stores and shit like that. Once we get that going, what you'll be able to do is just buy it then, because once when these scalpers have inventory, if they don't sell their inventory, what will happen is when you're able to buy a $500 PlayStation 5, their $1,000 PlayStation 5 will not get bought because no one's going to pay $1,000 when you can pay $500. Don't be a TikTok there.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
So that's the best thing I can suggest for anyone to do. In the meantime, though, so yeah, you're just going to be patient. There's not a lot of exclusive games out right now anyways, so it's just kind of like buying one of these next-gen consoles at launch is never 50-50. They're going to make a revision. I'm wanting a PS5. I've mentioned I've wanted a PS5 for a while now. One I can kind of replace my Roku and my PlayStation 5. Did I get it? Yes, I got it. Got one of them. Replace like kind of like it's a Blu-ray player, so I can sell my old Blu-ray player for like $30 or whatever. But no, it's I think it'll be a great console. I can play 4K. I just want to to play some of like the third-party titles because they're not always on Switch, so it'd be fun. And I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/the Schweezy. And so it'd be really great. So hopefully once they make the next revision of it, which I'm assuming next year they're gonna have a revision of it, I'll either buy the old one or the new one. Hopefully by next year, they're going to have production up on everything. So, yep. Okay. So we got 2 more articles to go through. As a late dying singer, Tim Lebesis, who served prison time for... Oh, sorry, I didn't read the title. As a late dying singer, Tim Lebesis, hospitalized after setting himself on fire. This is from Variety magazine. As a late dying singer, Tim Lebesis, who served prison time for attempting to hire someone to murder his estranged wife, is in the hospital after a bonfire accident left him with burns on 25% of his body. The singer of the veteran San Diego heavy metal band posted... about this accident on social media Wednesday, showing himself swathed in bandages but smiling. From his Instagram, so this is a exact quote. Let's see, the fly didn't come near me. Okay. So the exact quote here, keep your head up no matter what. I'm doing the best I can to make a thumbs up on the way to surgery in about 30 minutes. I apologize to my friends, and I've not had the time to fill in yet on what happened. The entire gas cap fell off when trying to use a little from the trickle tip to get a bonfire started. Gas got all over my clothes, and I ended up burning 25% of my body. I've been in the hospital since Saturday night, and I will be here for a couple more weeks, most likely. Today's surgery is to remove the remaining dead skin that we were unable to scrub off during dressing changes this week. It will be for the best so that we won't have to scrub so hard during dressing changes. And that in a big relief for me, I am extremely thankful for the burn center workers who are taking care of me. I will try to update all of my recovery. It will be a long road, but I will get back to full strength eventually. So, Lebesis was arrested in 2013 for soliciting of murder after attempting to hire an individual to kill his estranged wife. The hitman was actually an undercover agent, and the singer pleaded guilty to charges in 2014. He was released in December 2016, and 2 years later returned to the band, releasing an album, ironically, in retrospect, titled Shaped by Fire in 2019. At least one of the band's concerts that year was canceled due to a public outcry. In a statement, Lebesis wrote in a part, I stand against that person I became during the darkest period of my past, and it's part of my life's work to prevent others from going down destructive paths. It's now been almost 6 years since I made the biggest mistake of my life, and I consider each day an opportunity to do something positive, to turn my life around, and to use my experience to help others. So that's the you got to imagine his estranged wife is like, yeah, you got what you deserve, bud. 2 years in prison for hiring that. Isn't that what Joe Exotic is in prison? I mean, that's the same thing he's in prison for. But that's what I believe it is. He's like in prison for that. Anyways, I don't know how they're still doing like concerts and shit like that. I feel like that's just like a weird elephant in the room. He's like, hey man, do you want to go get a beer later? It's like, dude, you tried to kill your wife. It's not cool, man. It's just kind of like weird, and I don't know what to say. And I just remember them being a Christian metal band. It's like, yeah, I'm into that Christian metal as I lay dying, and now you're like, oh, you mean the guy who tried to get his wife murdered by a hitman? I touched it, but I didn't get it. Okay. Hopefully I get it soon. But no, I think it's just a weird red flag in the room, and I bet his ex-wife is like, he got what he deserved, but yeah, I don't know. I thought that was just kind of funny. Like, man, that karma's really getting to you, bud. And then the album cover is also a little rough, buddy. Hold on. I was holding my tea.
That's rough, buddy.
So, yeah, it sucks to be him. But he'll probably recover, and they'll make more albums for some reason. But they're no longer a Christian band. They were. I bet so many like heavy metal bands and like punk bands and like in the 2000s, they just like were like, oh, we're Christians, and that was a big marketing thing. I think that the Christian music scene was pretty big for the most part. I hit the mic. Sorry, guys and girls who listen to this show. But anyways. Let's go to the last article. Speaking of Joe Exotic, Tiger King star sues Justice Department over pardon rejection. So we went over a couple weeks ago that he was asking for a pardon. He even wrote a letter to Kim Kardashian to see if she could phone call Donald Trump. I don't think that's how it works. I'm pretty sure her assistant has Trump's assistant's phone number or something like that and contact information. And that's how those meetings are set up. Fort Worth, Texas. This is from Courthouse News Service, my favorite news source. In prison, Tiger King docuseries star Joe Exotic sued the Justice Department Wednesday, disputing a rejection of his pardon application because it was not presented directly to President Donald Trump. Joseph Maldonado Passage, 57, sued the U.S. Office of the Pardon Attorney in federal court in Fort Worth. He is currently an inmate at the nearby Federal Medical Center, Fort Worth. He was convicted in 2019 on 2 counts of murder for hire, 8 counts of violating the Lacey Act of falsifying wildlife records, and 9 counts of violating the Endangered Species Act. Okay, so that's probably why he's still in prison. Or why he's not gonna be out of prison. Exotic was sentenced to 22 years in federal prison for trying to hire a hitman for $10,000 to kill a rival tiger enthusiast and Tiger King co-star Carol fucking Baskins. Exotic claims his pardon application was rejected by acting pardon attorney Rosalind Sergeant Burns. 2 days after it was filed in September, he disputed her determination that that the rejection is final and wants the court to compel her office to present the pardon with a recommendation to Trump. Although the email conceded that the president had the ultimate authority to make a decision on the pardon, the email nevertheless implied that the office of the pardon attorney was not sending the recommendation to the president, instead was usurping the role of final decision maker on the pardon. The 6-page complaint states. Exotic says his attorneys responded that the office is required under federal regulations to forward the pardon application to the president for him to decide. In response to this reminder, William Taylor with the U.S. Pardon Attorney's Office acknowledges the president's plenary powers. The complaint states, however, the U.S. Pardon Attorney's Office has yet to forward the pardon with a recommendation to the president. The Justice Department declined to comment on the lawsuit Thursday morning. Exotic's lawsuit comes 8 months after Trump joked at a White House COVID-19 briefing that he would take a look at pardoning him. A reporter had asked Trump about comments his son, Donald Trump Jr., had made about the hit Netflix show, blah, blah, blah. Do you think he did it? Are you on his side? Trump asked with a smile. I'll take a look at it. That's Joe Exotic. Tiger King was a hit Netflix during the early months of the pandy, as over 34 million unique viewers streamed the show in the 10 days since it launched in March. The show follows several of the eccentric personalities in the tiger enthusiast community and focused on Exotic's obsessive behavior towards rival Baskin after he entered into a $1 million settlement in a trademark case she filed against him. Exotic had repeatedly accused Baskin of playing a role in the disappearance of her husband, suggesting she fed his body to her tigers to take over his assets. Trump Jr. had professed his love for the show during the April interview on Sirius XM, saying it took him 2 sittings to finish the series. When they say we are putting this guy away for 30 years, it seems aggressive, he said, because of coronavirus, Rikers Island, these liberal places, they're releasing pedophiles, they are releasing child rapists because they are worried they have some pre-existing condition, and then they get coronavirus in jail and get in trouble. I don't know, guys. I kind of want to leave the child rapists in prison. Exotic himself was transferred to FMC Fort Worth in March as a precaution after the Oklahoma County jail he was being kept in had a COVID-19 outbreak. Baskin seems to have gotten the last laugh as a federal judge awarded her control of Exotic's former zoo property in June to satisfy her trademark judgment. U.S. District Judge Scott Palk ruled the 16.4-acre Wynwood property was fraudulently transferred from Exotic to his mother to keep it away from Baskin. Big Cat Rescues, constructive trust, and equitable lion and to the building shall survive in physical or title transfer of the building and shall follow any proceeds except as to a good faith purchased for a value. Paul ordered at the time. Exotic had kept himself busy while behind bars, serving as his own attorney and filing a $93 million lawsuit in March against the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, U.S. Department of Interior, and several of his perceived enemies. Exotic claims a vast conspiracy exists to take his animals away from him. Exotic is represented in Wednesday's lawsuit by Francisco Hernandez in Fort Worth. So, like I see here, and everything in the Joe Exotic case, Joe's a bad person, but Carol is also a bad person. I actually think they should search into her dead husband a little bit more, because there's a lot of fishy things in that details, and it should be fully looked into even years and years later. But that's a big thing. So, I think he does have a case if there is a case to get it sent to the pardon office for Trump to even look at. Like, if they at least sent it, that would be a thing. But I think they didn't. They just ignored it. So I think that's where we are. So yeah. Oh, God damn it! The fly's almost here. Okay. So yeah, I think I don't know what to say on this case. He's guilty, but I don't know what he would do if he got out of jail. But anyways, though, yeah, I think that's how I'm going to end the news right now. Yeah. This episode of the Schwegcast is brought to you by Gamefly. Most of you are already aware of Gamefly, but for those of you who don't, it's the best video game rental subscription service for one low monthly fee. As a Twitch video game streamer myself, I know there are two types of game. One type is the game that you'll continue to go back to time and time again, like Breath of the Wild and Super Smash Bros. And then there's those other games, you know, that you only play once and then never pick up again. And that is where Gamefly is perfect. Most games come in at around $60, and you know, these new AAA titles come in at $60. But with this link in the description of this episode, your first 2 months will only be $10. I'm a subscriber myself, and I played through Pokemon Sword, and I loved it so much that I wanted to keep that copy. And with just a click of a button, and you just pay the little extra money, you get to keep the game that you rented from Gamefly. You don't even have to worry about anything else, and they'll go ahead and send you to the next game. I'm excited for the month of October. I will be getting into Luigi's Mansion because that is a very spooky game, and that's Halloween, so it's the spooky season, which I am super excited to play that game. I already got it in the mail, and I'm excited for once October kind of rolls around, I can start playing that game, and it is super fun and awesome. I love Gamefly. Like I said, I'm a subscriber myself, but you can get your first 2 months for $10. You just got to use the link in the description of this episode, and you know what? Start playing those games. This episode of the Schwegcast is brought to you by FNX Fitness. FNX Fitness is committed to creating innovative supplements of the highest quality that provide focus for a productive morning, energy to thrive all day, performance supplements to reach new goals, unique sleep and recovery formulas to support any sport, and healthy supplements to support an active lifestyle for years to come. They also have a fantastic clothing line so you can look good while you work out as well, which I always like to look good working out. Hashtag pray for Micah. We all know the drill. With your purchase of any product from the FNX Fitness website, they even donate a gallon of water to a child in need, so you know that each purchase you make really is helping someone out. Using promo code SCHWEGCAST or link in the description of this episode, you can save 15% off your order. Again, that is promo code SCHWEGCAST or link in the description down below. Save 15% on some great performance supplements. Okay, so going into some more activities in the Schweezy universe. So I saw this thread on Reddit. It's like on our Ask Reddit. One of the questions was, which I think I preach a lot, what's something that is romantic in movies but creepy in real life? Which I'm a big believer in that. I grew up and was raised by TV, and turns out women don't actually like that romantic shit, because if you did in real life, it's awful. But in movies, it's like amazing, which is just fucking stupid. But anyways, like, so I look at a couple of these things to see kind of what it is. I see stopping weddings. Yes, that would be a shitty thing to do. Stop! I know you're not in love with me, but will you marry me? You know, shit like that. And I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave my fiance at the altar. Like, I feel like you should have done that not at the wedding. Would have been a good idea. Yeah, don't ruin someone's wedding. Show up and ruin their wedding. Pursuing someone already in a relationship. I have been dumb enough to fall for this one. Honestly, they're happy and they're like, oh, just kind of, and the next one is, and kind of goes along with obsessive and unrequited love, spamming years. Like, oh, maybe someday if I just keep proving my worth, you've already proved your worth. She's a bitch and she's with a shitty guy because she is a shitty person. That is one thing. If you ever see someone, like if you see a woman, it's like, I can't believe you're with that guy. He's so shitty to you. She's shitty too. Let's just, we're going to go there. She's shitty too, folks. And that's the way it is. All right. But yeah, no. Unrequited love, spamming years, like a Jim and Pam thing. You think it's romantic, but nah, it doesn't work like that in the real world. Women want a guy who has things going for him, and she will settle for him. I like that. I thought I got all the flies in here, but I didn't. Yeah, if you're pursuing someone who is in a relationship, stop that shit. Stop that shit. I wish I could go back in time and tell a younger version of myself before I became Schweezy to knock that shit off. Serenading them on their doorstep. Now, as a musician myself, I want to do this. You know, there's that romantic in me. You know, I grew up on these rom-coms. I was raised on these rom-coms. So part of me just thinks that, like, maybe this will do it. And I'll sit down and write a really shitty song. Be like, I'm going to play this for her, and she's going to fall in love with me. And, did I kill it? Did I kill it? Maybe it'll stay away from me. I think, this song is going to change her mind. None of your songs are going to change her mind. Write music for yourself, not for other people. And let other people enjoy it. Music is a weird career. It's like you shouldn't like use others' opinions to validate your like who you are, but then like part of your career, like my career is who I am, and it requires validation from others for it to function properly. You know, that's a weird thing. Music is a weird career, folks. And as your liaison into the world of schwokedom, I'm here to tell you that. Next one I'm seeing, big public displays of affection to show you're worthy of love. Now, I've done this before, and it has never worked, folks. You're just going to get your feelings hurt, and you're going to play yourself.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
So don't play yourself, and don't do that shit. That shit is stupid, and you shouldn't do it. Next one is my favorite one from the Notebook. Threatening to hurt/kill yourself if she doesn't date you. In the Notebook, he's like holding on to the Ferris wheel. He's like, I'm gonna drop if you don't go on a date with me. Now, first of all, you shouldn't require someone else to take care of your mental health. I'm just going off experience, folks. I'm not trying to shame anyone except for Micah.
Hashtag pray for Micah.
That's the only person I shame on this show. We only shame when I'm talking shit and just Micah in general.
Hashtag pray for Micah.
So, did you mention pray for Micah? Christmas, there's a lot of Christmas cookies, so I guarantee he's gained like 30 pounds. Minimum 30, okay? I'm not trying to shame anyone except for Micah. Anyways, though, next one is the last one I'm seeing here that really stuck out to me in this thread. Sending an ogre and a donkey to rescue them from a castle so you can force them to marry you so you can become a king to make up for your small stature. That one, it didn't really hit home, but I like that movie. I really like Shrek. And I'm always down for some Shrek and chill. I got them all 4K. I got digital 4K versions of it, ladies. If you want a fairy tale, Shrek is one of my favorite movies. I need to get a Shrek. I think like next to Air Bud, I think should be Shrek. Maybe the first one. I think the movie poster for the first one is more classic, but there's part of the second one I really like a lot too. Long story short is what Micah says.
Hashtag pray for Micah.
When he's about to tell me the longest fucking story of his entire life, is that do not do romantic gestures in movies. The best thing you can do is if you fuck up in a relationship, apologize and think about what you did and think of how am I going to better myself further on to not be a dick anymore. And that is love advice from Schweezy before we actually get into the love advice.
And I really like that.
And if you want to call me wrong...
Pretty bold of you little fucks to assume that I'm not God.
So, you know what fuck's happening. But nevertheless, he persisted. He being me. And, I discovered a pronoun. It's like you could be she/them. It's like, you identify as female or a woman. But, you also identify as non-binary. I'm like, that's weird. Okay. I'm calling you. Okay. I'm not going to discuss that with anyone. Anyways, so going on our Christmas series, for the month of December, I want to make a tradition where I review a Christmas movie every week. Last 3 weeks, we did 3 classic Rankin Bass films. Today, I want to go through my mother's favorite Christmas movie, It's a Wonderful Life, starring Jimmy Stewart and no one else I know who they are. So, I want to live again, Mary. I want to live again. Clarence. I don't know. Jimmy Stewart's pretty funny. But no. So let's just kind of go through the movie, and I'll kind of mark down everything I had a reaction to. I've never realized this movie's like 2 hours long. I just thought maybe like an hour 30. It's 2 hours. Pacing is super slow in this movie. Feel like if they remade it today, they're gonna get the pacing a lot better. They could probably cut it down to an hour 30, you know. So yeah, the movie starts off with a bunch of people praying for George Bailey, who you haven't met yet, which you will soon meet because he is the entire film. They start with praying to George Bailey. So God keeps hearing all this shit, and he's like, "All right, we got to fix this." So Jelly Bean God and Donut Moses talk it over, and God's like, let's send Clarence down. Moses is like, Clarence is dumb as fuck, and I don't think he's going to be good. But God's like, well, he's a really good guy. So they get Clarence. Clarence is just like a dot, maybe like a dot candy, I want to say. That is Clarence. Oh, and this is the first time I actually ever watched it in color, which is really cool. So, so Clarence is dumb as fuck, but he has the faith of a child, which is not justification for solving someone's problems. But nevertheless, God persisted, and they're like, well, let's go through George Bailey's origin story. So we get the origin story for George Bailey. So they start off with the time that George Bailey became disabled. A great way to start off. Anyways, let me tell you the story about this guy. He's disabled. So, like, him and his friends were, like, sledding on shovels down a hill onto a lake frozen over, except for this one spot, which we'll get into. And then George's younger brother, Harry, is just ripping speed down this hill, and he goes so far, he falls into the one hole in this entire lake he falls in. George, being not a psychopath, goes in and saves his brother from this lake, which I assume is probably 3 feet deep and probably could have survived. But anyways, explains that George got a terrible cold, which probably makes sense, you know, from the water. And then I said the cold gave him an ear infection, which made him deaf in that ear. Now, I understand him getting an ear infection, but why the hell did you say he got a cold which gave him an ear infection? That is not... The doctor who is behind this movie does not know what the fuck they're doing, and I hope they lost their license. Because, and the doctor they went to, it was probably the 1910s or whatever. No, anyways, so they're like, oh yeah, he's deaf, and he's deaf, so he's basically disabled, which apparently is a thing. Like, if you can't hear out of one ear, you're disabled. I guess, I don't know. I don't consider that disabled because he can still hear perfectly fine out of the other ear. So he's not necessarily deaf, he just can't hear out of one ear. But no, and then they decide to switch over to young George Bailey. He works at a drugstore. One of them old school ones that serve ice cream and stuff like that. Probably like butt drugs in like Louisville, Kentucky, or I think that's where it is. And so he's serving ice cream. There's 2 thoughts sitting at the counter, Violet and Mary, who are very important to the story later on. So like George is like, what do you want ice cream? I want chocolate. I'm like, you want some coconuts on it? He's like, I don't like coconuts. And then he just starts mansplaining to Mary, like, you don't like coconuts. And he shows her this National Geographic. It's like, I'm very special for having a National Geographic. Like, bitch, did you just go? You can go to any newsstand. You can go to any, like, I can go to Walmart or Kroger or whatever, get a National Geographic. You're not special for having a National Geographic magazine. So sit down. In the words of Pulitzer Prize winner Kendrick Lamar, sit down, be humble. So after he mansplains coconuts to him, eventually he has to make a delivery to his dad where he says Potter's a bitch. Potter is the wheelchair-bound, disabled bitch in the story who is evil. I'm not sure if he's disabled because he's evil or if he's evil because he's disabled. Since this is a fictional story, I get to make up, and I believe I may be able to write an origin story for Potter. I believe that he is disabled because he is evil, not evil because he's disabled, because that sounds better because there's no redeeming qualities in this man. And I do not know how he was old for like 50 years. And he still lived by the end of the movie. But, so he goes out like, fuck you, Potter. And then he comes back to the store. And then Mr. Gower, his boss, just starts beating the living shit out of him because he put poison in like his son's pills and killed him or something like that. Somehow, see, that's not explained that well either. I was talking to my dad today. I had Zoomed with my parents. And we determined that, like, how do you poison someone as a pharmacist? Like, well, you just like, here's the poison, and here's the influenza pills. Make sure I'm going to label them eventually, but not today. And so, so he's just kind of taking his anger out on George there, and George is like, hey, man, don't be angry. And he like justifies it was an accident. Don't worry about it. And so they make a pact. I'm assuming blood was involved. It was a blood pact. In my world, it was a blood pact. And so and they're like, let's never tell anyone about this ever. Later on in the movie, it only happens for when they go to the world without George in it. That's necessary. They probably could have cut this whole thing out. Besides, like, the whole Mary talking into his ears, like, George Bailey, I love you till the day I die. I'm like, you're like 8 years old. There's plenty of men out there. Don't settle for the guy who mansplains National Geographic to you and coconuts. So, fast forward. So, those are the only two important events from his childhood. Everything else from his childhood, it's like going disabled and then getting the shit beaten out of him, were the only two events from his childhood. Now we get a 22-year-old George Bailey who looks 38 because I don't know how to explain that, but George looks 38 and he's supposed to be 22. He gets a suitcase, he has dinner with his family, and his dad's like, you want to take over the business? And he's like, fuck no. And then so he's like, okay, you want to go to the school dance with your brother who's graduating? It's like, sure, I will, because that's not pedophilia at all. I don't think pedophilia was invented until after the film was finished. So back then, pedophilia did not exist. So, yeah, I'm just assuming pedophilia was legal in the late 1920s. And so, nevertheless, he persisted. So, he's at the dances, like, catching up with all his teachers and stuff, being weird. And one guy's like, hey, will you dance with my sister Mary? And he's like, oh, yeah, I remember that thought, Mary. Yeah, sure. And so, he goes up to Mary and her date. She brought a date. And she's just like, oh, yeah, I'll dance with you. And then the date's, like, pissed off. He's being stingy.
Come on, Mark. Don't be stingy.
Let's call the guy she went on a date with Mark, because...
Come on, Mark. Don't be stingy.
So, eventually, they're dancing together. Mary's having the time of my life, and I never felt this way before. So, her date, Mark...
Come on, Mark. Don't be stingy.
Mark is like, this guy's like, hey, you want to open up the pool because you're mad at your date for dancing with a 22-year-old who is graduated 40 years prior. And so he's being pretty stingy.
Come on, Mark, don't be stingy.
And so they open up the pool, George and Mary are dancing, and eventually they fall in, and everyone's like, well, let's all jump in. Cell phones haven't been invented for another, 100 years. And so... jump in and, having fun. Eventually they have to change clothes because their clothes are wet. So George is walking Mary home, and they're singing Buffalo Gal, won't you come out tonight, which is also about lassoing the moon, because George, I want the moon, Mary. You want the moon? I'll lasso the moon for you, which is impossible. Scientifically impossible to lasso the moon and then pull it down to Earth. And there's like gravity, something like that controls the tides or some shit. So yeah, that's a thing. And so eventually, you know, they're throwing rocks at an abandoned house because that's romance in the 1920s. And then her robe falls off and Mary goes hides in a bush. And that's when the Me Too movement started. George is like, I'm not going to get this back. I want to see you naked. And eventually it takes his someone coming up and like, George, your dad died. And he's like, oh, here's your robe back. So then they go deal with that shit. So Peter Bailey is dead now. And so George has to take care of everything for some reason. So we flash forward then another 3 months. So we're going over like a lot of time jumps in this movie because we're going over someone's entire life. 3 months, George is like finishing everything here. And they're like kind of in a meeting. And then Potter, because he's disabled and a bitch, it's like, well, let's dissolve the building and loan because I don't know, for some reason, I think despite his dead father. But also remember that Potter is disabled. So he's disabled because he's evil. And he's also a dick. And one guy in the meeting, I think this is like his only line in the movie. It's too soon after Peter Bailey's death to chloroform the building and loan. What the hell did you just say right now? It's like chloroform's like what you like use to kidnap women with. Like it's too soon to kidnap and rape the building and loan. It's too soon after Peter Bailey's death to rape this building, rape this buildness. And so, you know, George goes on some dumbass speech about how this business means a lot to people and his dad was always helping people. And George leaves the building getting ready to go on his hopes and dreams, and they make a vote on it, decide to keep the building and loan open under one condition, that George Bailey runs the place and gives up all his hopes and dreams so to spite Potter. And in the end, you don't know if Potter won or if George won. But Potter's also really more disabled than George, so I feel like in the end, George still won because Potter is more disabled. So George doesn't go to college, doesn't go to Europe or whatever, and 4 years pass, and Harry went to college in his place with all his money. I don't know how that works out. So while Harry was in college, I guess they never talked to him in 4 years. Harry got a wife and just did not tell his family or invite any of them to the wedding, which is some bullshit, I guess. Like, you're not even going to, like, mention it? It's like, I can't make it. All right, man, well. There's a lot of problems. Like, later, Uncle Billy doesn't go to George's wedding. Like, come on, man. You're like his only uncle. So another 4 years pass. And then, like, Harry's having a party, and then George's mommy's like, you know, Mary's back in town. And George's like, oh, he's with Sam Wainwright. And it's like, I don't think Mary's into Sam Wainwright. Why don't you go over? So George's like, all right, I'll smash. So George walks over to Mary's house, and instead of like knocking on the door to come in or whatever, he just hangs out outside. And luckily, George's mom called, said, "Hey, George coming over," and he's like, "Good." And eventually, Mary knows he's just hanging out outside her house, which I'm outside of your window with my radio. So, yeah, and so when she's like, Mary's like, come in, and then George's like a dick the entire time. Like, he is a dick the entire time. He's like, oh, to Buffalo Gals. Like, what the fuck are you doing singing right now? I'm like, bro, do you not remember that one night you almost smashed, but then your dad died? Anyways, eventually, you know, they're arguing, and she breaks the record, which major sin in a movie. And then Sam Wainwright calls, and he's like, you should invest in plastic. And then George is like, I'm not getting married. I am not going to be happy. I'm got to do something with my life. And then they start making out. And then, cut again, they're married now. And then on their way to their honeymoon, they notice there's a problem with the building and loan. Uncle Billy gave all the money away. And they're like, I guess we'll use our honeymoon money to keep my father's business afloat. My dead father's business afloat, and they are left with $2, and I guess they drink whiskey after that, and yeah, So I guess we fast forward again. George has created Bailey Park. Now he kind of has his own kingdom. There's like the Potters area, and there's the Bailey area, fighting for dominance over Bedford Falls. So Potter tries to be a little sneaky, a little snack, and comes in, and so two disabled men come in, and Potter's like, well, why don't you work for me? $20,000 a year, which back then was a lot of money, but which today is like a musician's salary. And then George's like, I'll think about it. And he's like, fuck you, Potter. You're a bitch, and you're disabled. More disabled than me. And so he says, fuck you. At the beginning of it, he was like, oh, I'll send you a box of some of these cigars you like. And then he's like, I wonder if they sent the box of cigars. That's always something. Potter's a bitch. Anyways, he comes home and finds out all that time he was raw dogging Mary, she got pregnant. And now they have a kid. And then they're like, and then they had 3 more. 3 more kids. All right. And then World War II happens. Harry is a war hero. Potter gets in charge of the draft for some reason as a disabled man, but George couldn't be drafted or be put in there because he is also disabled in one ear. I did fact check this. I have a friend in the Air Force. I asked him, if you're deaf in one ear, would you be ineligible to serve? And he's like, yeah, probably. So it's a good fact. But I don't think Potter. See, I feel like if you couldn't serve as a disabled person, you shouldn't get to choose other people to join the military. But also, I don't like Potter because he's a bitch and he's also disabled. So let's not forget that. So now we finally, after all that fucking origin, now we finally get to the plot. So Uncle Billy's at the bank. He has to make a deposit, or another bank for some reason. I don't know. And he has to make a deposit of like $8,000, which is probably a lot back then, but actually it's still a lot to me right now. So we get $8,000. And so after he's like, hey, look at the magazine, he has that in the magazine, and then accidentally slips and gets to Potter. A good person in this movie with, hey, Billy, here's your $8,000 you're supposed to use for your business. Nah, Potter just keeps the money because he's a bitch and he's also disabled. Let's not forget, he is disabled. And that's a big plot point I want to make up. So you never feel bad for him. He's disabled for a reason. And then Billy's also probably mentally disabled, to be honest. And I can't remember how he lost the money, which is actually kind of a tricky thing. It was so like sly how he lost the money, because just kind of like how quickly it happened. He's like, well, I couldn't have put it there or there. So I feel like maybe, I don't think it's entirely Billy's fault, but also, yeah, I can understand why he's stressed out. And so George decides to go home. And then he's just a dick to his entire family. And then Lulu, he's like, fix my pedals. And then he just hides the pedals in his pocket. And then the teacher calls asking if Lulu's okay. Then he berates the teacher. And the husband's like, I'm going to kick your ass. He's like, well, come for me. And then so, conveniently enough, George goes out for a drink at a bar. I think Martini's. And he's like, you're George Bailey? He's like, my wife's the one you yelled at. And so he starts trying to kick his ass, and they kick him out of the bar. So, yeah, eventually, then George decides to drunk drive, hits a tree, and the guy's upset about the tree. He's like, my great-grandfather planted this tree. He's like, bitch, shut up. And then he walks over to the bridge. He's like, I'm going to kill myself. And then that's where God sends in his dumbest angel, Clarence, to be in the water. So George jumps in the water to save him. And he's like, why did you jump? Why were you in the water jumping? Or whatever. He's like, why are you? Oh, to save you. I'm like, I don't think that's how that works, man. So eventually they're talking and shit. And he's like, you're not an angel. He's like, yes, I am. And shit like that. And then George comes to the conclusion. It's like, what if I was never, everyone would be better off if I was never born. So he's like, all right, I can do that. And so he like changes reality to make it so George was never born. Happened was, so like he goes in the town, like everyone at the bar hates him for being new and weird or something like that, being new. Then like he was it Old Man Gower, the man who the original person to beat the shit out of George. Everyone found out he poisoned his kid, And so they all don't like him anymore. So,
That's rough, buddy.
So, yeah, everyone kind of picks on him. He was in jail for 20 years. The cop and the taxi driver think he's weird. Mary somehow ended up single. I watched it in color, and Mary was fine in color. I didn't notice it in black and white, but she is fine in color. Mary was fine. George got lucky there. So then he probably realized that. He's like, man, I didn't get with her. That sucked. That would have probably been enough for me. Like, I didn't get with her? Man, that sucks. It's like the whole future's like dystopian. Like, Potter runs everything, and there's like strip clubs everywhere. Actually, the strip clubs sound kind of cool. And then, like, his brother died. They still went sledding on a shovel. And none of his other friends were like, I'm not going to save Harry. And so World War II is different. His mom is an old hag or whatever. And then after the police try to kill him, he's like, I want to live again. Clarence, I want to live again. And then he lives again. And he's very happy. He realizes how great his life is. He runs around, Merry Christmas, y'all, building and loan. And one of the best lines of the movie, Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter. And he's like, Happy New Year to you in jail. And so he runs around, kids, I love you. He's like, hey, Mr. Bank Examiner, I know, isn't it great? I'm going to jail. And then all that, so he realizes how great his life is. But then, in the meantime, Billy gathered up everyone who meant something to George, and they all put some money in to make sure they had that $8,000 to pay off the bank. And Christmas was saved. A bell rings on the Christmas tree, and Clarence gets his wings, and it's all very wholesome and happy ending. And that is It's a Wonderful Life. I think pacing could have been better in this movie, but it's also a very old movie, so it was like probably the first movie ever made. So, yeah, a lot of things, thoughts on this. I've just seen it so many times. I have so many opinions on it. First of all, I think they should have just beat the shit out of Potter, and Potter should go to jail, because I feel like it's still considered stealing, because it wasn't technically given to him. So that's some shit. That's some dirty shit right there that I'm not into. And also, I've just been thinking about making my own version of it, where like all my friends and family's lives are actually better if I never existed. And then the moral of the story is you have to live out of spite, because then you know they're a lot worse with you. And I'm like, okay, live out of spite. And that's why you shouldn't kill yourself. And I know someone can justify, is he really going to kill himself over $8,000? And I'm going to be honest with you, I've thought about killing myself over a lot less. And I know a lot of you listening to this episode have thought about killing yourself over a lot less. So let's not shame him for having a mental breakdown, thinking about killing himself. And he also was the life insurance policy, so like everything was going to be fine if he killed himself. So it's a lot better than that. So in the meantime, we've all wanted to kill ourselves for a lot less. He was going to go to jail. He was going to go to jail. He was almost going to go to jail. His kids were not going to have family. Financially ruined. So, I mean, we've all thought about killing ourselves for a lot worse. And, yeah, that's the thing. The moral of the story I've come to conclude after many, many, many watches of It's a Wonderful Life is do not kill yourself over $8,000. Stay alive out of spite, because a lot of people hate you and your existence is poison to them. And kill them, and you know what?
And I really like that.
And the longer you stay alive, the longer they play themselves. And you know what DJ Khaled said?
Congratulations, you played yourself.
So make sure everyone plays themselves and stay alive this Christmas. And a Happy New Year to you in jail. This episode of the Schwegcast is brought to you by Duke Cannon Supply Company's Beer and Bourbon Box. Duke Cannon hails from a simpler time, a time when the term handyman was redundant, a time when chivalry wasn't considered old-fashioned. Duke Cannon's purpose is simple: to make superior quality grooming goods that meet the high standards of hard-working men. In the history of great duos, the partnership of beer and bourbon is even more important to our way of life than mac and cheese or If you're British, fish and chips. Comes complete with 3 big beer soaps, a deliciously scented sandalwood soap made with Old Milwaukee beer, a fresh citrus woodsy offering made with the Deschutes Fresh Squeezed IPA, and a warm cedar scent made with Budweiser, and 1 big American bourbon soap. And a rich oak barrel scented bar made with Buffalo Trace bourbon. A perfect gift for the gentleman who appreciates a fine drink and a distinguished fragrance. Use the link in our description to get free shipping on your order over $20. This episode of the Schwegcast is brought to you by Honey. Honey is a free browser extension you can download using the link in the description of this episode. Honey searches the entire internet for promo codes, coupon codes, free shipping, and anything else that will save you money when buying things online. It is 100% free, and at no point will you have to pay for it with any microtransactions. It's just as simple as pressing a single button, and you can start saving money. It's that simple. I use Honey myself. I've been using it for years, and it's a great way to save money on pizza. It's a great way for me to buy audio equipment online. It always saves me money. I've gotten 40%. I've gotten 50% even before. It is so great. I love Honey, and you will too. And if you don't use Honey, it's basically throwing money away. So use the link in the description of this episode. Install it on your web browser, whether that's Chrome, Safari, Opera, whatever it's called, and start saving money on things you buy every day anyways. All right, so now it is time for me to go over and solve some relationship problems, because relationship problems are all the time, and Christmas is once a year. So let's spill some tea, and let me get into it. So this one, we're just going to go 0 to 100 with this first one. All right, here we go. I believe my boyfriend is using my socks to wank off into.
That's rough, buddy.
All right. This is messing with my mind because I haven't actually witnessed him doing it, but at least once or twice a week, I'll be getting dressed, and when I stick my feet into socks, the sock is wet and sticky. On other socks, there's like a hard substance on them. I asked my boyfriend about it because it's weird as fuck, and he said it's most likely mayonnaise, which does not make sense. Why would there be mayo in my socks? I'm not entirely convinced it's semen, because why would someone do that into their partner's socks? I guess I'm looking for advice on how to find out if my boyfriend is actually jerking off into my socks, and if he is, how to confront him about it. Best thing I can suggest for you to do, he is jerking off into your socks. First of all, he is. No ifs, ands, buts, or about it. Do not think otherwise, or you will.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
So, so best thing to do in this situation, because confronting him about it, he's just going to keep denying it, so you're going to have to catch him. So, maybe invest into a security camera, see if you can catch him. Once you do laundry, I would say go through your socks and see, just kind of make sure you have a good feel for them, make sure that it's clean, and then you put them in your drawer wherever you have them, and then you got to set up a trap for it. Maybe set up a security camera, just a secret one, hide it. Men aren't that smart, so if you hide it, we will not notice it, and catch him in the act. And so you pull it up, and then you see it. Is this you jerking off into my socks? And then once you catch him, don't be mad about it. That's going to be the thing. Don't be mad about it. Figure something out, like give him some of your old socks. Wear some of your old socks, and then after you wear them, because I think he likes you. Well, he obviously likes you, and so I think he's jerking off because he loves you. And so when a man loves a woman, he will jerk off into their socks. And I don't control love. Love controls me. Okay, folks. I can't be going around doing this shit all day for you. So, best thing to do is set up a trap and catch him in the act of jerking off with your socks. And then that way you can confront him about it and figure out where to go from there. Just don't go into it with anger that he's been jerking off into your socks. Figure out a solution that can work for both of you, so you don't have to put on socks with jizz in them, and he can jerk off and feel horny when he sees you. Because that's how God intended for marriage to work, where you both work out a circumstance where you can jerk off into the other person's socks. That's what God wants. And it's God's plan. And yeah. So, and if not, that's you're listening to me if you're offended.
This is the type of guy you get.
So, you know what the fuck you're getting yourself into. Let's move on. This next one's rough too. Why did I get all these rough ones this week? I asked my boyfriend if I could have an orgasm in bed.
That's rough, buddy.
Okay, so I really love my boyfriend. He's great in every other way, except for sex. I've been with him since I was 18, and for years we've had one-way sex where he orgasms from penetrating me. Our sex typically lasts less than 120 seconds, and I always make sure I give foreplay. I give foreplay first, give or get. You should always get foreplay, ladies. I am the king, and I would be the one to tell you that. He never gives me any foreplay, and he never tries to make me orgasm. Most times, it hurts a lot, and it ends with me feeling unsatisfied but happy. I've pleased him. I started masturbating a lot, and he became very insecure about it. We ended up talking and ended up asking him if I could also have an orgasm when we do sexual stuff, even if it's not every time. He told me it's not as important for women to orgasm during sex, and it was so awkward I left it as that. What do I do? Listen, I want, this is for your boyfriend. Look, buddy, you gotta make your girl come. You gotta do it. It's the law of man, the law of schwookdom, that you make your woman come. You just maybe have to eat a little gourmet food. Gourmet being her pussy. You got to eat the pussy. You got to eat it. Got to eat it. Just eat it. Because you know what? Nice thing about your girl though, is she knows what gets her off. So you need to help her and stop with that shit. Saying it's not important for women to orgasm. When a woman orgasms, she is the coolest person afterwards. And that is why you give women orgasms. Because they're super cool. Afterwards, at least. Sometimes they're cool before, too. Sometimes they're cool all the time, but they're really cool after you get them off. I'm telling you, my friend, you want to get your girl off. I'm telling you, that's the tea. And, yeah. Next question. So, confront him about it. Do not give him sex unless he makes an effort to get you off. All right, and that's for the lady. Man, dude, you gotta get her off. All right, we got some more questions here. People want me to solve their life problems. I just found out the girl I've been dating for 3 weeks is an anti-vaxxer, and I don't know how to handle it. All right, Tyler explains broad strokes, but a little more context is as follows. We were in the car together, and she received a call from someone that she decided to screen, saying, "We're friends, but tend to disagree on a lot of issues," I said. "Oh, like what?" And she mentioned the COVID vaccine, that this friend is pro-vaccine and she is not, that she doesn't want anything in her body from a doctor, that she never goes to the doctor, and that her friend, the one whose call she screened, suggested that even if she didn't want the vaccine for herself, that she should still get it to protect other people who are in high-risk categories to be susceptible to COVID, to which she explained she believed in Darwinism. Yeah, hoo boy. I was so shocked I didn't know what to say. Like, she seemed like such a regular fun person and had great chemistry. With that, I'm kind of just blown away. So obviously, this is a non-starter for me, but I wanted to approach this in a way that's not attacking her. Is it possible to have a conversation with her so that she may be open to learning about why vaccines and Western/modern medicine is a good thing? LOL, I can't even believe I'm typing this. And she already left town for the holidays and is texting me a bunch, and all while this is stewing in the back of my mind. Maybe I'm being too precious about coming off like a dick. Any advice for how to handle would be greatly appreciated. All right, first of all, bro, you're not marrying this chick. What's she like in bed? That's going to be the first thing I ask for you. If she's fun in bed, you're going to have to stick around for a while, but you need to understand that if you're just going to be along for the ride for some sex, then, and you're not going to marry this bitch, whatever stupid shit she says is not going to matter because you're not going to marry her. And you only have to deal with this in small fractions. Maybe maybe eventually get to a point where you only communicate for sex because this woman is not your ride or die. Obviously, also my EP Ride or Die is out now on all streaming platforms. But yeah, and I don't understand if you're an anti-vax and you don't believe in he's like, I don't trust anything a doctor is going to put in my body. Are you R-worded right now? Are you? What? So and I'm like, these people are like, I don't know what's in a Big Mac, but I can tell you this: I'm not taking no COVID vaccine. If you want me to know that, I'm not taking no COVID vaccine. That's poison from the government trying to chip me. Like you're dumb. And if you're fat and you're anti-vax, like shut the fuck up. Like for real, if you're fat.
Hashtag pray for Micah.
Micah's not anti-vax, but anyways, if you're fat, you don't need to worry about what's in the COVID vaccine. My mom already got it. I talked to her today about it. And she said that she had she felt weird for a little bit, but now she's fine. And then there's all the rumors of face paralysis, which I'm assuming they would figure out in the trials for it if it was an actual problem. So, yeah, you can trust vaccines. Stop with this conspiracy theory bullshit. Don't be R-worded. And, if you want to come at me in the comments,
Pretty bold of you little fucks to assume that I'm not God.
is a little quote for you to always remember that it's pretty bold of you little fucks to assume that I'm not God. I am right about everything unless I'm not. And yeah, never marry a anti-vax chick. That is advice for every person listening to the show today. Never marry an anti-vax chick because they are stupid. And the sex is probably good, but do not marry an anti-vax person because if you have a child with them, I mean, I guess you don't have to pay child support that long, but also I don't want to kill kids unless it's like in Star Wars in that scene. Anyways, so yeah, never date an anti-vax chick. You can have sex with them, but don't marry. Don't. You realize it's probably not going to end, so just have fun. Have a fun ride. You know, even the best fall down sometime. Even the stars refuse to shine. Even the doubts that fill your mind and somehow find you and I collide. And that's a Howie Day song. You probably don't know who Howie Day is. That's shit I'm into because I grew up in the 2000s. I was raised on television. The ending of MTV and VH1 playing music videos. So, you heard it here first, folks. I'm still emo. Next question. Wife caught me masturbating after 4 months of no sex. My wife caught me masturbating after over 4 months of us not having sex. It turned into a huge thing, but I found out that in that 4 months, she had no desire to have sex at all and hadn't touched herself in any way. I jerked off probably every other day during that period and thought about sex all the time. Anyone else have a significant other with no sex drive when yours is relatively high? How do you make it work? Okay. So it sounds like this is a recent thing. It doesn't sound like she's asexual. You know my thoughts on asexual people. You're a piece of shit if you date non-asexual people. If you're asexual, you should only get into relationships with non-asexual people. Because in the worst case, you're a piece of shit. You're a Henry Potter. And you're Henry Potter without the disability. I would say she caught you masturbating. If she's mad at you, this is her fault. She doesn't want to have sex, and so you're just jerking off to get rid of the poison. Like, we need an education system that semen and jizz is poison in a man's body, and we have to get it out. We need that proper education. But also, that is not an excuse for women to have to put out and have sex with us. So we have to realize that. So jerking off is fine. I feel like I'm going to say in a healthy marriage, I'm going to harass my married friends about this. I'm going to say in a healthy marriage, like at least have sex once a week. Even if you're not in the mood, just have sex once a week. Even if neither of you want to, have sex once a week. Just force yourselves both to have sex. and neither of you enjoy it, and that's the thing. Neither of you enjoy sex, so you need to work things out. Like, look, we need to start having sex. I know you have no desire. I don't know how that, like, men are always horny. Men could jerk off as much as they want to most of the time. Like, now we're getting older. It's like, I don't think I should be jerking off every day. But, like, no, I feel like, yeah, like I said, I think y'all need to at least focus on putting an effort into at least once a week, taking her to Pound Town, and, you know, at least once maybe. You know, if you want to move up from there, it's fine, but make it a minimum once a week. Even if you're not in the mood, just force yourself to do it. Sometimes you should force yourself to do things sometime. You know, we make sex such like a big deal. But I mean, it is in a relationship. Like, y'all should be fucking. Everyone should be fucking. I actually wish everyone was fucking all the time. Consensually. And I want every man to get their penis touched by someone they want to get their penis touched by. Even if you're a person like Josh and you don't like your penis touched. Yeah, just get your penis touched. And I hope you like it. So yeah, just I say y'all both gotta work on the sex thing. It's obviously an issue in the marriage. So make a goal once a week. You take her to Pound Town. Worst case scenario, you gotta lube up a lot. But yeah, take her to Pound Town. Have a good time, man. You know.
And I really like that.
And tell her that if she's not having a good time, she will sell you the opposite. And yeah. Yeah, sounds like a white person problem.
White people.
So, let's just move on to our next. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we got a couple more. Okay. Here. All my husband does is play video games and I'm feeling resentful. I am sick of my husband's gaming. He isn't like a typical gamer who has nothing in his life other than gaming, so I'm not sure if I'm overreacting or being over-emotional, so I need an outside perspective and hopefully some advice. My husband works really hard, typically 8 hours to 11-hour days, so he definitely is not gaming and do nothing else, but other than working, it really seems like that is all he does. For example, he will get home from an 8-hour shift, say hello, and then go straight to the game. I get it. He wants to de-stress, so I just do my thing, cook dinner, whatever. My issue is when he gets home at 4 p.m. and stays up till 12:30 a.m. or later doing nothing else, not spending time with me or my SS. Those are my initials. I'm assuming he's not spending time with me. If this was once in a while, I would be more understanding, but it's pretty much every day. He says he is just stressed and needs to decompress, and since he doesn't smoke, drink, or have any other vices, and since the vice is relatively harmless, I should let him. I think his son is getting really sad when we have him. His dad is more interested in working and being on a game, and I'm feeling the same. My husband will even stay up late playing and saying he's too tired to spend 30 minutes to talk and/or days in bed or to have sexy time. He even gets super irritated if I interrupt him at all, even if he has been playing for hours, and I just have a quick question. I also wait until his character dies in the game, etc. I've told him I think he's addicted, and usually he's very open to working on things in our relationship, but with this particular issue, he doesn't see my point of view. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I'm overreacting or if this is a real issue. All right, so
That's rough, buddy.
So this does sound like an issue for you. First thing I'll say is when he has his son over, he should only be playing video games when his son goes to bed. That is what my friends kind of do if they play games. Like, we got to get the kids to bed first, and then we'll play video games. So that is a good strategy for that. It sounds like one thing you kind of just need to prioritize time. Kind of like, I get the idea of like, he definitely should still be playing video games. You just decompress, just have a little bit of fun for himself. I think like immediately when he gets home and he just goes straight to is the problem. So like, hang out, talk for a bit, eat dinner, like, talk some more, spend time together, then maybe have some sex. And then once that's done, kind of when it's like near bedtime kind of time, that's when he hops on and plays. He might be playing too much. Maybe on the weekends he can play a little bit more. But no, I feel like he's not giving you enough time. He's putting more time into video games, especially not sex. Like, what's wrong with this guy? He's probably a PC gamer. PC gamers are very notorious for not liking their penis touched. And I'm here to change minds and let people get their penis touched and help them with their fear of getting their penis touched. That's some good tea. Good-ass tea. But, when his son's over, he needs to not be playing games unless he's playing with them. But he's a PC gamer, so he's probably not playing with anyone else except on the internet. But, I tell you should make priority time for you. If you can't get reason to him, maybe get a neutral third party in. Not me, because I don't know either of you. I say get a mutual third party, neutral, not mutual, mutual and neutral third party in there to say, hey, you maybe spend too much time on this. Because, we all have our vices. Some people drink. Some people smoke. Some people do marijuana. Some people do meth and cocaine. Some people are gamers, so I think that's his vice, and he needs to adjust himself to regulating how much time he's doing that shit. So get a neutral third party in there to maybe work that out. Next question I got. Ex-girlfriend wants to get back together with me, and I'm curious what others think. So a little background before my present day question. My girlfriend of 4 years and I broke things off back in the first half of 2020. The breakup sucked. We were both miserable afterwards. I still love her and think she's a great person. In short, she wanted kids and was ready to drop anchor, have kids, settle down in one area for years. We take primarily domestic trips and cut back on international travels. I wanted to keep traveling, exploring the world and various interests and bouncing around for my career. Boiling down to the crux of what caused our breakup earlier this year was she gave an ultimatum to agree to get married. No problem here, and promised her a baby before she turned 30. Problem here, I'm on the fence about kids as I have no visceral pull to be a father, but I am slowly warming and becoming more tolerable of kids in general. I wanted to be able to move around to pursue better career opportunities while I'm able. She wanted to start planting roots and wanted to stay put in whatever area we moved to for 18 years until the child was off to college. I wanted to pursue a graduate degree as well and partake in a foreign language immersion trip to polish my second language and use it in my career. She said if that's what I wanted to do, then we had to break up. So with the three items above, I was feeling rather gridlocked, constrained, and felt as if my future was being controlled by my partner rather than being planned with my partner. And I locked up for months and couldn't commit to go further in the relationship. We had our talk and we mutually decided to walk away from each other. Overall, it was an amicable, respectful breakup. She reached out to me recently after 6 months of no contact, and we quickly discovered that we still love, miss, think about each other. So we opened up the discussion about the possibility of getting back together. Today, only number one of the above list remains, except she pushed the child in my arms date back to 34. Furthermore, she has reached her own internal resolution and removed the moving, living, travel constraints so long as it was for my career growth. She can work from anywhere I cannot on our personal growth as a couple. This is a big change of mindset and a super tempting offer. The fact that she is willing to give me the ability to travel and bounce around for work so long as the benefits us what was I really after months ago, but it was a no-go, however. I still struggle to make her a promise for kids, even by 34, because I simply am not sure how I feel about having kids in 6 or more years. Maybe I'll be all for it, maybe not. It's kind of hard to look that far into the future. Like I said, I am warming up to kids. I could give her a kid or two so that she has what she wants, but I don't know how I could handle it because I know that I would get a different set of constraints placed on me if we had kids together. I wouldn't be an absentee father, and I wouldn't absolutely do my best to be a good dad, but I also don't want to give up on these things that bring me happiness and that I identify with and that I want to do right now for the foreseeable future: traveling, job hopping, moving around, etc. If we have kids, you just can make changes all that easy if your partner isn't on board with the same things you want to do. I do love her, could absolutely marry her and have a life together, but I just am not sure about how I can make a promise to her about kids when I myself am not sure about them in this moment. Okay, so Sounds like she is gung-ho about it. Women have it a little bit differently than men do when it comes to the kids thing, because men can shoot out working seeds for their entire life. The sperm gets weirder as you get older, but in the meantime, though, your sperm is working for the most part. For women, you only got so many eggs, and I don't know, everyone's so interested in freezing them. So, like, women feel like a clock ticking. If they really want kids, like, there's like a ticking clock for them in regards to that. If they want to have their own kids, like, we could adopt. No, I want my own. But anyways, so it sounds like she reached back out to you because she is lonely as fuck. And you know what I say when someone reaches out to you when they're lonely as fuck?
Be gone, fuck!
So, I would suggest do not get back together with her. You do not want kids. She wants kids, like, as soon as possible. So, I mean, I'm glad you worked out two of the other things out, but the kids thing is a big deal for you. Like, I don't think that's going to work out. I mean...
That's rough, buddy.
But, yeah, I don't think that's going to be a change. Like, if kids are a deal breaker for someone, and especially, I would say here, when you give someone an ultimatum in, like, a relationship, just end it. Like, if you feel the need to give someone an ultimatum, it's clearly not working out. Like, if the other person's not feeling the same way and you have to give them, like, an ultimatum or you walk, stuff like that, that means it's not working out and it's just walk away in the meantime. It's clearly just not working out. You need to figure your shit out. She needs to figure her shit out. She needs to move on. You need to move on. I think you need to fuck bitches like crazy. It sounds like what you need to do. Actually, COVID makes it a little hard. Best thing to tell her is that I don't want kids. You should be with someone who wants kids. You shouldn't be with... she cares about you, but the kids are going to be a deal breaker. And if she's making it to a point where it's an ultimatum, that's going to be a relationship problem. So, best thing I can tell you is tell her...
Be gone, fuck!
And tell her to go fuck off. And if she says she can't live without you, like I always say, if she can't live without you, tell her she can just die. And she don't get kids either way. So, that's the thing. I would tell her to fuck off. My friend, good luck in all your future endeavors. Okay, it looks like we got two more. I saved the best one for last. So, I was ghosted after one date 4 months ago and still haven't gotten over it. So, she was beautiful, great to get along with. I was really looking forward to getting to know her more, and it seemed like it was all mutual. She gave me her number, and we went our separate ways. But when planning the next one, she stopped responding. I cannot tell you how many times I've looked back on that evening and thought about what I should have done differently. It's bugging me so much, as I'm especially lonely right now. I'm considering reaching out again, but that feels so desperate. How do I approach this whole situation? All right, buddy. So, I can easily say I'm in the same boat as you. Actually, earlier this year, I met, like, this beautiful girl. A little bit older than me. I like them a little bit older than me. That's something about, like, having your life together when you're a little bit older or something like that. Redhead, just gorgeous, 10 out of 10. Redhead. If you want to know what kind of redhead is, she went as Ariel one year for Halloween. So, that kind of cool redhead. And, we're talking. I thought we were getting along pretty great. She liked NSYNC, so that's, like, that's a deal breaker for me. That's probably why I'm saying I have too many deal breakers. I'm like, you like Air Bud? Yeah. NSYNC or Backstreet Boys? Like, I like Backstreet Boys a little bit more. I'm like, fuck. Can't get along. I don't know. I think, I feel like it's okay to be upset about things like that. It's like you wish it could have worked out and you obsess over it. The idea is just don't obsess over it. Keep moving on. I just think, the thing is, like, you plan out, like, your entire life in your head and then, like, keep it bottled up to yourself. And then when it doesn't necessarily work out, it's like our whole life is ruined because, like, guys will, like, plan out, like, our entire lives with someone and then it doesn't work out and she ghosts you and then it's like, not interested. I would rather go with this guy. It just sucks, buddy.
That's rough, buddy.
And I'm in the same situation as you. The idea I would tell you is stop obsessing about it and, just move on. Just tell yourself to move on and stop obsessing about it. It's okay to be upset about it, but just don't obsess about it. Is the best advice I can give you, my friend, for the rest of my life. Is it's okay to be upset, but don't obsess over it. And if you ever run into her in public, bring it up. Get her on the spot because she can't ghost you. And if she runs away, that's probably a bad answer. But anyways, yeah. All right. So last question, and this one is pretty fucked up.
What you ready to get fucked up?
Okay. Here we go. Titled "My Girlfriend's Vagina." Okay, this one's pretty rough.
That's rough, buddy.
All right, so let's get into this. I don't want to be an asshole for saying this, but my girlfriend's vagina smells awful. It's so bad it makes me want to throw up anytime we have sex. It got to the point where I'd rather not even have sex. I brought it up to her a few months back, but she doesn't do anything to change it, or at least stick to it. Showering doesn't help either. I've asked her to try things, but whatever she does doesn't continue beyond a week. I tried being nice, I tried being assertive, but it doesn't change anything. She tried a pill she puts in there, and she tried drinking cranberry vinegar mix, but that's it. I don't know what else to do. It makes me want to leave. It's like it doesn't matter to her, and she always wants sex, and when she doesn't get it, she always gets in a mood. When I bring up why I don't want to, we'll talk for 5 minutes, and she'll just shrug it off. By the way, for anyone saying it's just a natural smell of or her smell, I must disagree. I've been with plenty of women to know natural smell from something that just isn't right. Not to over-exaggerate, it smells like a fish bathed in vinegar. Ah, fuck these flies. For a week, crawled in her and died 10 months back. It's not an STD because I get checked often to make sure because I'm a hypochondriac when it comes to my genitals. Also, her vagina juice doesn't seem normal either. Oh, this is gross. It's in like a thickness term, it's like super thick in slime, like almost like semen, but more like slug left. Oh God. Also, she creams a whole lot, but by the time we finish, everything is a thick white. When I pull out, my whole penis is white and I'm darker skin. Oh man.
That's rough, buddy.
I know cream can be normal, but this is a lot in a short time span. Within 10 seconds, everything is white. I'm maybe overthinking that part too, though. What should I do? Anyone have any tips I could give her? Should I just leave? I don't want to be that guy, but it just doesn't seem fair. I have to deal with it and drive every time we have sex. Dude,
That's rough, buddy.
Oh, that is disgusting. From what it sounds like, she needs to see a fucking gynecologist, dude. So there's things though. Here's one thing with, at least I think I go with smells, especially when it comes to your body. So it says like she showers and it doesn't fix anything. It sounds like there's like an infection or something with her, and it smells, and she's just like, I'll just get used to it. There's a serious problem there, but she needs to get that checked out. There's that gross ass cream shit you were telling me. Oh, that's nasty, dude. Dude, you're a braver soul than I am. I am very stickler. If she has bad hygiene, I'm out. But a lot of times, like if you have an ulcer, like a stomach ulcer, like you can have bad breath. If you have tonsil stones, you can have bad breath. It doesn't matter if like you're brushing your teeth or like cleaning yourself twice a day or shit like that. It sounds like there's an actual medical problem with her that she needs to go see a gynecologist about, and that is disgusting. Like, you have to admit, you are probably way nicer than I would be. I'm like, this is fucking disgusting. Like, this is not natural. You need to go see a fucking doctor. You know, I feel like that's kind of the whole point. And like, you're like, look, I care about your health. You could just say it's a health thing and you care about her health. That is like more of an issue. I don't think you should leave her. If she doesn't see if she refuses to see a doctor about it, tell her it's leaving, because you shouldn't be caring more about her than she should care about herself. Because that is an issue. And if that's an issue and you're disgusted to have sex with her, where there's a clearly easy problem to solve there, dude, your girl's fucking disgusting. You need to fucking... If she refuses to take care of herself like that, that is a big red flag, and she does need to... You need to kick her to the curb, because not a lot of guys will deal with that gross ass shit. That is disgusting as fuck. And I feel like everyone needs to be on their hygiene game, because you do hygiene both for yourself and for other people. you don't have to have a signature scent. You just need to smell not gross. And if you smell gross and if you are gross and you're a woman, stay the fuck away from me. Because I don't want whatever gross ooze slug shit is in your vagina or pussy or whatever you want to call it. Shouldn't have to wear a gas mask or hold your breath when you have sex with someone. That is very clear. And if you smell bad and you don't shower constantly, you're gross. And I believe you're a gross woman. And I want you to change yourself to be good enough for me. And that's how I'm going to end today's episode of Cancel Schweezy. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a Happy New Year to you in jail. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, comments, concern, you can always email these, schwegcast@gmail.com. I think we're going to be changing that email soon, so stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. Remember, my EP, Ride or Die, is out now. Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon, YouTube, everywhere you get your music. Go listen, like, subscribe, and everywhere else, though, like and subscribe on the podcast, on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcasts on. And if you want to watch me play video games, go over to Twitch. And if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can always press the subscribe instead of follow and support the show financially. But if you really want to support the show financially, $5 a month signs you up for our Patreon, and you get on no ad episodes of Cancel Schweezy, the Shredcast, and more of the Schweezy Podcast Universe pods coming your way. And like always, everyone, happy Christmas, and hope you have a Happy New Year to you in jail. And like always, stay awesome.
Hashtag pray for Micah.
Hey, you just finished a full episode of the Schwegcast. I hope your brain cells don't hurt. If you want to support this show financially in the best way possible, go check us out on Patreon for $5 a month. You can get ad-free episodes of the Schwegcast, and is the best way to personally support me and this channel.